take it away.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Martha's going to be helping me out. I'm a little bit sick, and so she'll be giving good talking breaks for my throat, which is great. So I'll start with our land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge the Arapaho, Ute, and Cheyenne tribes, traditional custodians of the land on which the Police Oversight Panel and Boulder Police Department operate, and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. And just to start also, I should say Happy New Year to everyone. I know it's been also a hard time for the community with the fires, and just want to open a space if anyone wants to share how they're feeling or how they're doing, and give you guys all a minute here. Or not share too, that's good. Then a few things also just in terms of logistics. So for the chat function, I don't know if you saw Daniel's really helpful meeting procedures document that he made and has put in the SharePoint. But we are going to limit chat use unless it's direct one-on-one conversation. And that's just because we've been missing out on kind of full conversations that are happening or questions that are happening in the chat. And we just want to encourage panelists to either raise their hand, save it, or if you're just talking to one person specifically, just to direct it to them. And then, yes, Taisha.
To that point, excellent point. I wonder if there's a function. I know at the CPW commission meeting that we had today, when our Zoom, there's like a no chat function. And I'm wondering if we could potentially have that has that, or like with the Q&A option, so that there is an opportunity, but so that way it would just kind of mitigate this whole situation, you know. So again, I'm just offering another way, another state agency, another protocol that they use.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not enough of a tech whiz to even begin to know Zoom functions, but Joey, perhaps we can look into that.
Yeah, the tech.
And I think that Victor has volunteered for this meeting to kind of monitor the chat, reminding panelists of that, and also if there's any members of the public, kind of directing them to using the Q&A function so he can directly respond to them. Another thing too is that Daniel and I are going to be a little bit more of sticklers about attendance. So as of now, what our rules say is that panel members will make the effort to miss no more than 25% of panel meetings or training sessions, to not miss consecutive monthly meetings, and participate in at least one case review per 3 months. And if you're having an issue with that, we have the calendar that we sent out. So if you see an issue that already coming to light, I would say just
the calendar get sent out.
Yes, Daniel sent out the calendar. And so I would communicate with us up front with the co-chairs too, if you also are looking at that and you already know you have a wedding or you have a family gathering or some work functions, just to give us a heads up. I think that'll be a lot easier, and we will make sure to also keep that calendar updated and rotating it amongst everyone as it changes each month. So yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. And then now we're going to go to completion of panel bylaws, hopefully, right, for the the last time. The latest version was sent in Daniel's email yesterday, and I was wondering if Hadassah, you would be up for kind of taking the editing process today, just as you were involved with it and are more familiar with the document, if that works for you.
I can definitely do the editing. I am not, I'm currently on the call on my phone, and I will be having the document on my computer, so I won't be set up for sharing, but I can definitely do the editing if that's not going to mess us up. Or I can hop out and hop back in if you want me to.
No, I think that's totally fine. Joey, do you mind sharing your screen with it? Do you?
Do you want me to make Hadassah a co-host or someone else a co-host who's going to share the screen? Or did you want me to, whoever's typing it should probably share in the screen, is what I'm thinking.
Well, Hadassah, then is that a pain for you to jump off and log back in on your computer?
Not
Okay,
at
so
all.
let's just pause and do that. Just, I think since you're more familiar with the document, that'd be great.
Now I'll make you a co-host, Hadassah, when you come back on, so you'll be able to
Okay.
share your screen.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Also, if I forget to take a break at 7, please remind me that you guys need a break at 7 also. So.
In the meantime, while we're waiting for Hadassah to join back, I just wanted to point out that we do have a city administrative person taking our notes tonight. That was a discussion that we had in the past about, hi Cindy, who should be taking the notes and whether the monitor should be doing that or not. And so I think the panel had expressed interest in having a uninvolved city administrative person doing that. So that's what we'll be doing now. Cindy will be doing that for us tonight. Thank you, Cindy.
While we wait for Hadassah too, I should have us look at the 2022 calendar. So I'm incorporating in this meeting a lot of the survey results that was sent out at the end of last month, the survey. And so our meetings for now are going to be the second Thursday of every month, which has been that's what we've done this last year. And that works for majority of people. But if that doesn't, I think we need to have a conversation about that, like here and now, and kind of work that out. And then also there was a proposal to switch from 7 to 9 rather than 6 to 8, kind of avoiding prime dinner time. And 3 people said that would not work for them. And that's another thing we need to figure out. So maybe before we jump into bylaws, we can have a discussion about calendar and timing for the upcoming year.
This is Taisha. Thank you. I would also like to add a conversation around like the opportunity for the committee chairs to meet with the monitor as well. So I noticed that most of those meetings are just with the co-chairs, and so I wanted to offer perhaps on a quarterly basis. Also, if we can include the quarterly meetings with the chief, even if we don't have a date, so we just have a TBD as a placeholder. As far as timeline for me or time frame, I prefer 6:30 to 8:30.
6:30 to 8:30.
I mean, I would offer that as an alternative.
How do people feel about 6:30 to 8:30 on the second Thursday of the month?
I just think so that's a little bit easier to balance just with, you know, having children. So that was just the consideration taken there.
Is the 6:30 to 8:30, is that what you're saying? Is it easier or less easier to balance?
That's easier to balance than 7 to 9.
Okay,
I'm happy with the time as it is.
could you make 6:30 to 8:30 work?
Yeah. Now for me, 6 to 8 is fine.
Okay, anyone else?
For me, a little bit later is better, so I would prefer 7 to 9, but I could do 6:30 to 8:30. That's fine with me.
And the second Thursday too, I'm just thinking of people who said that does not work for them.
I mean, I'll just have to crosswalk with my calendar. As I said, I had a CP Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission meeting today. They tend to fluctuate, but they tend to land on Thursday. So it's been a challenge to have to toggle both of them in addition to other things that tend to land on this day. So I'll crosswalk it. If it's more than 25%, I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, so I think for now, then we're gonna go 6:30 to 8:30. Majority of the panel wanted a later time, but I wanted to make sure we were accommodating for people who had hesitations, and it will be the second Thursday of the month. And then look at that calendar when you have a second and let me know if you think there's already meetings you're not going to be able to make, and just shoot Daniel and I an email, which would be great. Hadassah, we can go to bylaws.
Excellent.
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
Before we move on, though, did you get the pieces about the quarterly meeting with the chief and the quarterly opportunity to meet, have a monitor, co-chair and committee chair meeting?
Yep, I took note down for that.
Thank you.
All right, sorry, here we go. And there we go. Okay, can everyone see that? Let me get a little bigger here. Is the size okay? Can everyone see? Other than me scrolling the text.
That looks good.
Okay. And so we are, this is just references, definitions. We have the rubric still that is in red, which I believe is mainly from our other notes. I believe this is about where we are, is here, section 4. Yes. Okay. So, let's just jump on in. Do we, for the rubric, I believe that this was coming. Give me 1 second here. Okay, nope, that's nothing. Sorry, let me just get oriented here. This is references. So all of this is basically the next part is a removal of, this is going through, okay, step back a little bit. Where we are is in our full case review of our complaints, is that part of the bylaws, right? So we have done sections A and then B we're actually going to be eliminated because that is a part of, isn't what we need to include here. Give me a second. I'll read the notes out in case we need. Separate section of the policy under consideration for public feedback and to clarify it is not official policy. So that will be taken out. And so we are here in the removal of this part. So what was suggested is removal of the disposition categorization section, this whole part where it talks about sustained, not sustained, unfounded, exonerated. Any thoughts on this? I'll give you guys a second to read through the notes there.
I have a question. Are these covered in the
Ordinance?
like dictionary section of like where the words are defined in this thing? Because I think that would be also like for us to be able to say and have the same shared meaning.
Right, right. So here are our definitions. No, they are not listed in the definitions here. I believe they are in the ordinance.
They are, I think we had talked about, I think y'all had talked about linking these to the document where they're defined in the police department's manual, so that
Okay.
anytime, if that were to ever change, our document would stay up to date. I believe that's where we left that conversation.
Okay. How do we feel about that?
These are like really important terms that we use often. So I would like it a little closer to the document. I don't want to have them go another click to find it. Although I do hear the evergreen nature of having the live click through. Curious other panelists' thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth. I like having the definitions in here and close, easily findable. But if it is a live link, that would also change with, in reality, what our definition would be, what the working definition would be, and what we would go with. That might be. I feel better if it's an easily accessible live link and something that is truer to what is currently in use, but is also still, we're not losing our accessibility is kind of where my thought is. Other people's thoughts.
I like keeping these in. These terms are not common terms, and to hear some of these, even before my work in the panel, I'm for keeping these in.
I like them in, and I also, it's also making me think now if what's below it. And I only ask that because now we have a situation where we might enter one sort of finding and then the chief might enter a different finding. So maybe like the distinction of like actually flat out pointing out that it's what POP has decided for our notes. But that's just a thought after the fact of recent events.
I would also point out that these categories are pretty stable. I wouldn't expect these to change frequently or often, and there would be a lot of discussion about them changing. So there may be a lower risk of keeping these in and having the situation where the definitions change compared to some of the other definitions that we have that could change more over time. I wouldn't expect these to necessarily change, certainly not frequently.
Okay, should we just do a simple vote, keep in or remove? Let me adjust my screen so I can see everyone here. All right, let's do yays to remove, yay to keep. What would the, what is the?
So will you make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to retain the language as originally written and reject the edits of blah, blah, blah.
Thank you. Yes. I
get
second
it.
that motion.
Yay for rejecting.
Yeah. There's a notes person.
Okay, so we just have 3 so far.
Yeah, so I guess you can unreject that. And then we'll have the record. We'll have the record of the request, for changing in the Google log, change log.
So while Hadassah's doing that, can I be like a weirdo? There's like a weird vibe happening right now where people are quiet. I'm kind of wondering if we can arrive a little bit by like just rolling our shoulders and coming back into the space, taking a deep breath and getting into the present moment. I know it's not necessarily fun stuff, but we got to get through it.
Word, Martha, word.
I love it.
Real levity.
Susie's cat is joining us. It's giving us nice vibes.
I know, thank goodness. We'll take it.
All right,
Calm
so
down.
that is
Let
all
that work all
done.
day.
I don't know.
Okay, let me go here. So Erin added something about timeliness.
Oh,
Basically referencing how quickly we have to complete our investigations. We basically would say we have to have our investigation complete by X number of days. And if we're going to be taking longer than that for any specific reason, we'll give the chief of police some type of notice that it will be completed within the next 30 days, basically a 30-day extension from that. Thoughts? There's a further note.
Joey, what is our average turnaround? Like, I don't want to
Probably in the range of about 21 days, more like 3 weeks. When we first started talking about this time frame, I think we were saying we should aim for 2 weeks, 14 days. So we're probably going a little bit past that each one. But the department has been understanding about it so far and hasn't necessarily made it a problem or pushed to do it quicker.
Would you say it takes longer to get people to decide who's going to be on which panel? Like,
That's usually the delay on our part, is just the scheduling. Even once we've identified the 3 people to be on it, it'll often take us a couple more days or a week or so to get it scheduled. But that sometimes is just the nature of trying to schedule things with 3 folks who have busy lives and jobs.
So would it be appropriate to have 2 periods there, the first part and the last part, 30 days, and why not be consistent?
Okay,
Either you select 21 days before to do everything, then 21 days to inform the chief or whatever. I'm just saying that I find it odd that you would have 2 different periods.
yeah. I'm not quite sure why there's a number here if we don't have a number here, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
I agree
intention
with you
was
on
for
that.
us to find a number, but
Yeah.
I would concur that going to Martha's earlier comment about the previous case that had additional layers. So
Mhm.
sometimes things can extend longer because there's additional layers that get put on depending on the complexity of the case. And so I would hate to tie us in. However, I would offer that we could put something in there just around for our own accountability around identifying the panel by a week's time or something like that, so that we have a little bit more accountability in identifying panelists. But other than that, I would say within a reasonable time, and yeah.
And this might be a discussion that we have with the larger group. But I would wonder if the holdup tends to be us deciding who's on the panel if we just have a random, these are the next 3 people. It's by, a designated schedule, and you just get the next one that comes up. I don't necessarily love it, but if an option to discuss and explore is all I would say if it becomes a constant issue for us. Anyways, okay, so
I will say I like the idea. I do think it's a little bit more complicated than this paragraph is saying. And
yes.
I think it might be more appropriate to kind of table it and make that like the next governance issue or the first governance issue.
That's a great idea, Mark.
Okay, so let's say establish target. Something like that. Notification of extension timeline. What is?
I think it might be, instead of investigation, put the word review.
Okay.
And
Yes.
then maybe like assignment and completion, because I feel like there's two different timeliness, at least two, sometimes three, different
Okay.
kind of things there.
Establish a target timeline for establishing analysts to review completion. Something like that. Ah, go away. Rejected one. Keep it there.
Maybe it should be assigning panelists instead of establishing panelists. I think that was Martha's recommendation.
Thank you.
Assign. Was that right, Martha? Assigning, is what you said? I think so.
Excuse me, although I did want to add that I believe our original rationale for not doing the random assignments was there were maybe people that have particular expertise related to a case. So I would love to still include that latitude for if there are people that panelists that want to join a panel, because there's nothing that prohibited a panel from being 4 people instead of 3. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the size of I will take a look. Here we go. Preparing for case review. So basically it's saying that we need at least 3 members. We do leave it open for the ability to add more.
Excellent, excellent. And do we have in here, sorry, while we're here, and it applies to both, but there have been instances where we've gone to the full panel for additional kind of like, if something is more complex or we need that additional expertise and we go to the full panel. I just wanted to, I noticed that was something that I feel like we kind of added on. It kind of happened naturally. I but I just wanted to make sure it was also addressed in here.
That is a good point, Taisha. I don't see
We
anything
can just
about
put a
that.
note in there. We can find it later.
Okay.
But I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that, as I said, as we're moving through it, things are happening. We're like, oh, wait. I didn't know we could have an extended remix and another thing and all this stuff. So,
Oh.
thank you.
Okay. What is this one? I think that's another one that we were gonna come back to. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to where we were. Okay, so is that okay for now? And basically that'll allow us to do it via the governance panel and add this, move on from this now. How do we feel about that?
I think we can vote on it at this point.
Okay. Yays for the changes, not this change, let me remove that, but just this top part. Yay.
Yay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. 5. Thank you, everyone. You're awesome. Okay. Check that so Justin and keep that there. Okay. Perfect. This next one, communication of final decision. Give you guys a second to read that. So the main changes are let's see.
Yeah, can you click on her comment so we can see what Aaron said there and then Laurel?
Yep. Here we go.
Thank you.
So the change is basically changing it from the mention of a regular public report to our annual report that is already mentioned in our ordinance.
Right, but nothing in the ordinance says we cannot also add additional reporting. So
Correct. Correct.
And
the
the
point is we
other-
wanted more transparency. Sorry, Ariel.
No, that's yeah, totally fine. I also want to say, did Laurel have a comment on this as well, or just Aaron?
Oh, here we go.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yep. Let me know when you're ready to scroll down.
Oop, there it is. Those are the questions we really need answers to, but I don't know that it's us that can get that,
Yeah.
like, get those answers.
So up to the PD to decide whether or not to release it.
I feel like that's something that might be helpful at our next meeting with the chief too,
Okay.
to bring that up.
Okay.
And so I just want to flag there. But I think I think the language, personally, I feel comfortable with the language that was added.
And that was the 25th, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. And all right, so The next thing, corrective action provision. So deleted decision and prompt. Panel will recommend corrective action. Okay, so yay to accept changes. Perfect, excellent, thank you.
I'm almost wondering, I know in one of the ones that I was on recently, we opted for like recommending consecutive rather than concurrent. And I think
Okay.
we should put that, just a sentence in there as well, or maybe adding that somewhere into the wording.
So Martha, that did actually come up in the one of the cases I'll be reporting out on the outcome tonight. And so I can talk a little bit more about that issue, but essentially part of the response was in the current department rules and procedures manual and the collective bargaining agreement with the union, it does not speak to this notion of consecutive letters. So I was thinking that may be something we want to address, like in a recommendation to the department in the annual report. But it does not appear like at this moment that would be something that could be done. And so I probably wouldn't want to put it in the bylaws for now until we actually made a recommendation and got the department to change that and allow that. But I do think it's something that the panel, it makes sense to pursue.
I also just want to jump in. We probably have about 10 to 15 more minutes to spend on this tonight. So if we want to try to power through, I think we should try to do as much as we can and hopefully finish, but just wanted to flag that for everyone timeline.
Thank you, Ariel. Okay, so do we want to add a note to this now, or do we want to kind of?
I think we can probably circle back after we hear more from Joey on that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and so we have accepted the changes there. This looks like we already did this section. Let's look at these comments here. And I think we decided to keep that, so that's fine. We're gonna move forward. All right, let me see. I think this is the last little bit. Let me just kind of scan and see how much we have left of. So we have privacy and confidentiality. We have a little bit in the communication section, and then that is pretty much it. Okay, so I think it's definitely feasible. Let's look at this privacy and confidentiality. Okay, so section A, anonymity of the complaint. There was a deletion of this. Let me see if there's any more comments about it. It doesn't really say. I think it's mostly just that it was kind of more a reason for anonymity as opposed to anything else. And so panel's thoughts on deleting this section.
I mean, I think if someone pulls up this document and they are specifically looking for anonymity and debating amongst themselves, it might be helpful to see different reasons that have been considered, but I'm not like tied to it.
You know, I think one of the things that, you know, we have been striving for throughout this document is usability by the public. And so I appreciate the context and, you know, I would be fine either way. I think having more context makes these documents much more readable and understandable.
Any other thoughts? Okay, so yays to accept rejection.
No, I'm making a motion not to accept the rejection.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say, so nays, we are not accepting this rejection. No to the update, basically.
Okay.
Nays,
No to the
yep.
edit.
Yeah, no to the edit.
We're rejecting their suggested edit.
Correct, yes. Nays. Hands
Great.
raised, please. So I'm taking a nay vote. So we did yays, we have one yay.
Wait, I'm confused. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
What are we voting for?
To accept or reject the thing. So if it is a yay, we're accepting the proposed edit. If it is a nay, we are rejecting the proposed edit.
Got it. Thank you.
Sorry, is that clear? Good, okay. Once again, starting over, yays to accept the edit. Okay, nays to reject the edit. Excellent, nays have it. We reject, okay. All right. Use section to catch up, and then here's another one from R to will be, anonymous complaints will be advised. I think that's fair. It's mostly just grammatical. Any opposition to accepting that change? Okay, moving along, I'm accepting it. All right, and last one. So I think this looks like another contextual paragraph. Give you guys a second to read it.
Yeah, I think we need to flat out say it. Because if they don't give a way to contact back, there's not a way to contact back.
Right. Yeah, and I think we kind of mention it here from a lack of secondary contact beyond. So, okay, so yays to accept the edit. Nays to reject the edit. I think I'm a nay.
Oh, wait.
You said yays to accept or yays to reject, right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
so
I'm a
yays,
yay.
yays to accept, nays to reject. Let's go to yays. 3, 4 yays. Okay, nays. I think I'm a nay. And abstain. Okay, I think we are for accepting the edit, which means we are removing this paragraph here. 2, 3. Quorum is 3. 4. Yeah, we're good. 4. Okay, then we don't have enough votes.
Wait. Hold on.
We had 3
How many are there?
yeas.
1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 of us here? Oh, we
Only
only
5
need
of us.
3
Yeah,
then.
so we're good.
Awesome,
We're good.
awesome.
Okay.
I
Thank
was like,
you
wait,
for
awesome.
mapping with me,
1, 2,
Taisha.
3. Sorry, dear. I'm just. I was
You're
like,
good.
wait.
You're good. Okay.
We
Okay,
need
and
to
Red
then,
folder, right.
all right, last little one. Okay, so this recommendation is we replace criminal history with background and circumstances, including any criminal acts. Yays to accept this rejection or this suggestion?
Wait.
Yays to accept. Sorry, give you another second.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but there's an amendment for the amendment is background and versus criminal history. So are we saying that's
Right.
that's where I'm confused. This
Yeah,
particular
so
one. The other one didn't
so the
have another
change
option.
is to take out criminal history and say a complainant's background and circumstances, including criminal acts, will not influence the outcome of fair judgment recommendations during the review.
Right.
And not just criminal history, but kind of expanding on that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I'm a
All
yes
right, so
then.
yays
Thank
to
you.
accept. Good, yays have it. Again. All right. Submitted complaints contain subject matters. So this next one is an addition from Laurel. Yays to accept the change. Good, thank you. Okay, from members to panelists. Going to accept that. This is the same. Okay. And so we have another change here. So an addition of a reference to the Boulder Revised Code. Yays to accept. Okay. Yays have it. Thank you. Okay. I don't see any reason for this. It's just expand it a little bit more.
The only tricky part about that one, I think, is, we still are citizens and have a right to our own free speech. So we don't want to put anything in here that's going to contradict that.
Yeah. I don't.
I feel like that sentence is a little clunky and I'm not totally
Yeah,
sure
I'm
why it's
struggling with
fitting
this.
in right there. Like I'm struggling with the intent behind the sentence.
Yeah, I am kind of there with you.
Kind of hanging. Where's that coming from?
The selected panel member. Yeah, which selected panel member are we talking about?
I think we can probably vote on this on whether we want to keep it out or keep it in at this
Okay.
point.
So vote to accept the suggestion to okay, good. Yays have it. We will accept this change. All right. Okay. Public reporting. So
Doctor, I have led you wrong. I was just going on my Zoom screen, which only had 5 of us, but there are 6 of us. But 7, because Victor and Susie.
okay. So it is 4. We were good on the last one. The only one. Uh-oh.
Hadassah, just to clarify, the quorum is 5 just to be able to take a vote. You have to have 5 people present to take a vote. But the vote
Yes.
itself is just a majority vote. So you don't have
Just
to
a
have
majority vote. Okay.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. So would
4
4. Okay. Thank you.
out of 7.
Yep. 7. Okay. I thought we said 6. All right.
I thought that. Thanks.
No worries. We're good. We're good. Okay. So,
Do we have a roll call in the beginning?
oh,
Because that would be helpful. to
that
go
would be
with
very
now
helpful.
Question.
What it is.
Yes, okay.
And then we
I
have it on
don't
the
think we
record
did.
what the number is. So let's add that
Yes.
for the next time. But no worries. Thank you. And sorry, Hadassah,
Yes.
for that.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay. So this is just give you a second to read there. Visual aids and other tools as needed, period. Yay to accept the change. I'm gonna say yay. Okay, we are good. Yays have it, accept. So this next suggestion is to change from prioritize to develop and follow our communications plan. Not necessarily and removal of with the community.
Can we do one at a time?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
So let's vote on the first suggestion to replace prioritize with develop and follow. Yays. Okay, good. All right, and second to delete with the community.
I would like to make an edit there for maybe like in collaboration with, so that it's not, so it's still the panel has the voting over the actual plan, but that there is opportunities for input with the community, and we want that. We want to be held accountable to that
Okay,
engagement. So that's where I'm going with it, but I'm not, I'm open to any suggestions that makes that wording sound a little better for the intent.
okay, so maybe,
I guess I don't really feel like you need to say community here when the public reporting implies that we are speaking to the community, I think. And so I think what Taisha just said about
Okay.
sure. So I think in terms of we're speaking to, we're a community panel speaking to the community. And I don't know if adding in the word community here with communications is going to clarify anything or just look redundant.
So this is actually for the development of the plan itself, and the intent of that was, as the plan is being developed, before we finalize it, we actually get input from the community before we finalize. So that is the intention of with community here, as opposed to reporting to the community, which is mentioned later. Thank you.
So Taisha, you want something after the word develop, right? something like the panel will develop in consultation with.
Yes, there it is. That's what my intention was. Thank you. So then I would like to propose that as an edit, since we still need to vote on for the change. And I understand the confusion around, but if we still need to vote, so I make a motion that we approve the language in collaboration with the community and delete with the community from the suggestion. From
What does follow a strategic plan mean?
that was their language, we just added that. I'm fine with just develop the thing, a plan, and then we'll follow it. That was the suggestion we just voted on. Now that you've added this part, now that we've added this part though, it loses its context. So I'd be fine with eliminating that as well. Excellent catch.
And we'll develop. Okay, so. Something like that. How do I don't know how to do that fancy delete thing.
Also, we are at 5 minutes.
Thank you. So something like this is what I'm thinking, removing what I have highlighted, because I don't know how to do that little highlight thing. So we're just gonna. Sorry, you're muted, Taisha.
Sorry, it would just be and follow that's getting deleted and with the community, but a strategic communications plan would remain. So the panel will develop a plan with
Both the communications plan and communicate collaboration with the community to share information, collect feedback, and improve communication practices.
Yeah. Period. Yeah, that's what we're going for. Although I thought we said consultation, although I'm not sure if can we have a conversation about consultation versus collaboration, or put a pin in it.
We could do consultation.
Collaboration just feels a little bit more, I'm not sure if it's that depth, that the level of depth. I'm going to manage expectations. So yeah.
I like consultation better. I think that's a good word suggestion, Taisha.
Okay.
Well, that was Chico's, but
yeah, do we want to vote consultation versus collaboration? So let's do consultation.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion for consultation.
Okay. Can
I get a second? Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And then.
Okay. So.
Consultation sounds community limiting and collaboration sounds community liberating. I'm just saying.
So about managing.
Let's vote on it, Hadassah, since you have the motion for.
Okay.
So let's call motion for yay and nay.
Okay. So
before we vote.
yes.
Yeah, usually people, we would have time to discuss before we vote. That's I think that's a Robert rule thing.
Before we vote, let's just pause for a minute and think through this, because like managing expectations. So what are we envisioning with consultation, whether it's consultation or collaboration or collaborating, whichever, what are we envisioning?
Well, when you heard when you initially raised the option consultation, in my mind, I was thinking, and when I suggested with the community, I was thinking the opportunity to do obviously public comment on the draft, as well as to hold some public meetings on just what the public would like to hear, what the public would like to have reported on, like what do you want to know, right? Oftentimes these plans are written in a silo, and these are the types of things we're trying to break down. So I know that there's been challenges with our communication externally as we are building the plane, as we are flying it, and I'm really excited about a number of caseloads we've been able to manage. In addition to flying, building the plane. And so, again, I want to make sure that those transparency mechanisms are ongoing and throughout all of our committees. And I think this one is such an important one that we need to hear from them. What are their expectations? And I would even open to, one of the things I was planning on doing for our upcoming communications committee meeting and outreach committee meeting was asking the public, hey, what are some exemplars you have, of, strategic communication plans so that we can, build from the collective knowledge of this community. So that's why I'm thinking consultation. However, I do concur with Martha's comment around collaboration being, certainly much more, friendlier, kinder, more collaborative. Again, but when I hear collaborative, I think a certain level of depth. And so again, but I'm open.
Sounds good. At least we're all on the same board in terms of what we're thinking.
So it's time for a 5-minute break. And I think with this discussion that's happening, I actually think it might be good to stop here and that maybe we have the outreach program on the agenda next month and we pick up
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
A presentation of what that is looking like with the finishing up the bylaws and the public reporting section. It might kind of fit in well together and give us a framework to have this discussion, but I want to make sure we get through everything else. And so we're going to stop here tonight at 5.2. We are going to have to vote next time on consultation versus collaboration, and we will have the outreach committee kind of give the rest of the panel a summation of where they're at in February. So let's take our 5-minute break and come back here at 7:07, please. Thank you.
All righty, those 5 minutes go by so fast. I am gonna pop in just with a couple of updates. I know before the holidays, we were talking about the panel retreat. So we can kind of just get together and everything. That is what won out in the vote, but with the Omicron numbers being what they are, everything's kind of been postponed. So we are gonna have to push it back. But we would like to cover maybe something via Zoom. Just more of a getting to know you, kind of start the year off right, building relationship with one another so that we can have these rough discussions and kind of get things out on the table. In an ironic fashion, I will take a temperature check about that. What kinds of things do you want to see? What would feel good to do? Anyone have any ideas?
I think it being largely unstructured would be nice, just kind of, an hour of gathering and getting to know one another more on a personal level. But I loved the exercise we did with last names, kind of explain or explain the origin of your name. And I think something like that would be a great way kind of to start. But I think kind of just some free time to get to know one another would be awesome too.
Love it, love it. Are you thinking like early in the month, late in the month? Steve?
Sorry, I thought we were still talking just about the kinds of things we wanted to see. Okay. I forgot what I was gonna say. And I also just wanted to open up, as I noticed, I just want to open and invite, Susie and Victor's voice into the space. If there's anything that I always respect and appreciate the perspectives that you bring. So certainly don't want to lose your voices in this meeting. At the same time, I know, hey, if you have got anything, I'm sure you will tell us at another time. But if something comes, I would hate to just, not like that. Thank you. I hope it comes back to me. But that's what I was going to ask. Is there any money in the budget to hire an external facilitator?
For the retreat?
Yes.
I think we had talked about that, and we could do that. I had proposed that as an option, but if I remember correctly, I think the panel had decided for the retreat not to have a facilitator and have each panel member sort of handle each segment of the retreat. But that's totally up to you all. If you all decide you want a facilitator, we can. I had gotten approval for that, so we can do that.
And I just offer that again, and I apologize if that was voted on previously, but again, just been through many different retreats and I'm fine for having different panelists take on different components, but having that external expertise is absolutely, would really be helpful. And also to have somebody who's neutral that we know nobody knows, and I've appreciated that in the past, so I would like to revisit that if we haven't already voted on that. Thank you.
Kind of second Taisha. I think a third-party external facilitator. I feel like I'm always pleasantly surprised with that, and I would be willing to see that at a retreat.
I think these are great ideas, but also we're talking more about the social gathering next month right now, just because the
I'm
retreat is
sorry.
going to have to be postponed because of Omicron, because the
Okay,
majority of us said we want to do the retreat
I'm
in
sorry.
person.
Was that communicated? I didn't hear that before. My apologies. I thought we were talking about what we wanted to see at the retreat, so I misheard.
Oh no, I think Martha was asking more about because we have to delay because of COVID right now.
Okay.
Because the survey said that most people want to do it in person. So right now we're trying to think more about what would just a Zoom gathering look like for people. And what would they want? Would they want it to be structured? Would they want it to be, icebreakers, and really trying to get to know one another more on a personal level? And I think the retreat was
I didn't
a
realize
great way to
that.
do that, and would have been a great way to be in person and do that. And so trying to facilitate some of that, even if it's just an hour on an evening, kind of next month.
I don't know. I still would like us to consider maybe doing some of the retreat work, because we don't know when we're going to be able to meet in person. And there are components that we really do need to discuss and clarify. There was certainly the team building aspect of the retreat, but there were also some logistical components around unpacking what we have in the bylaws and starting to put some of those pieces together. So I would have some concerns if we waited for a time that we don't know if it will exist. I've heard that the numbers are going to go up before they go down. And so I would hate to push out 3 months, a conversation that really needs to happen by the end of next month.
This is off script a little bit, but like there's so much that we need to like get decided on. I would almost wonder if there's a potential way to like block off half a day to just knock it all out so that we actually have some footing. Because I feel like we're kind of scrambling for the little time that we've got instead of like hammering it all out and then we have a schedule and then we can do it more efficiently.
I mean, I could envision a half-day retreat even, I mean, that's, the organization I work with, our staff retreat has gone virtual and we are doing some really innovative components around that. But that's just the reality that we live in right now. And I appreciate the recommendation, Martha. Others comments, because this really does impact all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think my preference was definitely for like in person, but that was, I think we took this vote before Omicron really started to get up there. And so, yeah, I think if we can devote, a 3 or 4 hour, couple of days, half day, sort of thing for getting together, going through a couple of these things, maybe have a couple of different portions to it. I think that might be kind of cool, kind of good, and also help us feel like we're getting caught up and not always behind the ball on all of our.
And there's some other ways I've seen as well where like you have to have like a virtual lunch with another panelist, or where you just talk and get to know each other and we all get assigned 3 people, or talk about a particular article related to the type of work that we're doing, and then panelists would get together and talk about it. So we're not talking about cases, but more so the theory and application. So again, I think there's a lot of creative things that we can do in addition to that, but certainly appreciate your feedback, Hadassah. And I too had wanted it to be in person. So I want to be clear on that as well. Oh, and on that note, I'm curious if folks, this is Boulder. We have days where it is actually warm enough to be outside. There are possibilities to have some informal, hey, we're going to be at the park on this time, this day, join if you want to have some warm tea or something. So I would like to offer that as an alternative as well.
So I think based off this conversation, that Daniel and I should send around a doodle with a half-day virtual retreat option, but also maybe an email ask regarding different social gathering events or lunches or virtual kind of creativity issues we can do for team building and bonding this upcoming year. So I think we can get an email out about that in the next week.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so with that, the next thing we're going to is tracking hours. Joey's going to jump in here. We have not been tracking our hours, most of us, myself included. And we need to make sure that we're doing that this year. And especially because so much of us are spending, a lot of time here and on our various committees and reviewing cases. And so we want to really make sure that that time is documented. And so Joey's going to give us a little PSA about it again.
Yeah, I didn't really actually have much to add other than what you just said. It's just the only thing I guess I would add is it's helpful for us when we go out to like do our annual reports, and we can report out to the public how many hours you all have been devoting to this work. So, and it could also help make the case for raising stipends in the future, which I know the panel has mentioned before. So yeah, if we could get on track, and shout out to Martha and Daniel, who have been keeping their hours tracked, but I know it's an easy thing to forget about. But I will resend the link and the information on how to do that. And if you have any questions at that point, just let me know and I'll walk you through it. But Taisha, yeah, you had a question?
Darn it. Forgot what the question was related to this, unfortunately. This is related to tracking. It was also, this would give us additional evidence to support the expansion of the panel. I'm sorry. This is for the level of effort and amount of work this panel needs to conduct. I would recommend an expansion in serious consideration. So thank you.
On that note, I will say when the ordinance was being formed, there was a debate whether it should be 11 panel members or 9, and they ultimately went with 9. So that was considered. So it's good you're thinking about that. That's something that can be returned to in the future.
Evidence will be, because we have all these committees, and there's still only, I mean, there's not that many of us to serve on committees, and
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joey, quick question related to that. If there was a update or amendment that we wanted to make to the ordinance itself, can you remind me what the process for that is or would be?
You would have to go to the city council, and there would probably be some memos and stuff provided to the city council beforehand about whatever it was that you all were requesting to change, some analysis of why you all felt it was necessary, make the case, and we'd get it on the agenda and then have the council vote on it to adapt the ordinance.
Okay, and that would need to come from the panel, or could that come from members of the public, or is it just restricted to us as panelists?
I mean, I get the public can ask the city council to do anything. I think if the request came from the public, the council would then come to the panel and say, hey, provide us with a memo with, what your thoughts are on this, and, give the council some guidance and perspective, and then they would make a vote. I will say it wouldn't be necessarily a quick process. It would probably take a couple of months to go through that process, but that certainly can be done, yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted the information for us in the public. Thank you.
You got it.
Is it possible to get an email or like some text with a reminder of how to exactly log our hours? Because I feel like I'm
going to do that. Or I'll send the follow-up email with those directions again. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
And is this mentioned in our bylaws at all, the logging hour piece?
No, it's not something I don't think you all addressed in the bylaws.
All right. Add there for a comment.
I should also add that Daniel and I will make an effort to remind everyone every month to, towards the end of every month to get your hours in. So I'll set a reminder for myself. Okay, so moving on to the next is the NAACP meeting that we've discussed for a while, and after the holidays and New Year, I think it's really time, especially since from our survey, the majority of panelists would like to move forward with a meeting. And so Daniel and I have kind of a proposal that we want to be able to send the NAACP a proposal of what a meeting would look like between our two groups, that we can then, kind of go back and forth and figure out the terms that work for everyone. And so I want to kind of share the structure that we had come up in mind, see what you guys think about it, what you want to change, what you like, what you don't like, and then kind of go from there with us reaching out to NAACP leadership with a formal proposal of what we envision a meeting. And I'm going to start by sharing some of the responses to the survey, just kind of generally what were some of the sentiments. So as I said, majority of the panel would like to meet. They would like it to be everyone meeting, not just the co-chairs, which was another thing. Some people expressed a preference that we not meet with the NAACP until after the outreach plan, to ensure that there's no perceived, I think, preferential treatment for who we meet with. Other people just said that they want to make sure there's an open dialogue on issues facing our community. Figure out a way to fix any bad blood and establish some understanding, and learn and unlearn some interaction challenges. So I think those are kind of broadly speaking some goals that panel members have for what this meeting would look like. And so the co-chairs met and then kind of tried to drill that down. And so we would envision proposing to the NAACP leadership that we would meet next month for an hour and a half, that there would be no, this would be public, and it would be because of our the sunshine law in Colorado, and it would be online because of COVID concerns. We would prefer that there would be no mediator, just due to the length of an hour and a half. We think a mediator could add a lot of, it could just shorten, I think, people's ability to actually make contributions, and that we think we can kind of monitor this conversation. And I think that agreeing on a neutral monitor between the two groups would be really difficult. We also think that it should be about 2 minutes per person talking, limits that you can speak as many times as you would like, of course, trying to be aware and conscious of allowing room for all voices, but that each time you speak for 2 minutes. And another idea we had too was that each side kind of offers a perspective of what they think has occurred here and what they have felt, and that kind of opens the door for a conversation and figuring out differences and what we agree on, what we disagree on. And then other questions that Daniel and I had for you guys too was, do we want to appoint a few panel members to speak, or do we want everyone to speak? And yeah, so that's kind of the skeleton that we had come up with, and now you guys can pick it apart all you want.
If the meeting is open to the public, is there opportunity for public comment, or are we keeping it closed to that and just having it observe only?
I think that's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer, but I think that's something we can talk about amongst ourselves, and also ask the NAACP what they think.
I don't have a preference in terms of whether or not we have a public comment section. I think that I would just be open to hearing what the NAACP would like, because realistically, we have that in part of all of our meetings. So it's like, that's fine. But I don't, I'd be open to their input. The other comment that I have is I'd like to ensure that when we extend the invitation to the NAACP, that it is open to all members of the NAACP and to any like people of the group, not just like select leaders, or, like we don't want to just talk to like 1 or 2 people. We want to talk to ideally as much of that community as we can. I'd hope. So that's my only thought. Thank you.
If it's gonna be open to everybody, then you will definitely need a public comments period, so that everyone is heard.
Yeah.
Are there thoughts on the parameters that Daniel and I have outlined too, that are sitting well with you, not sitting well? Because I think that's what we're going to propose to them, unless there's changes that need to be made, and then get their feedback about how they want the meeting to look and return that to you. But if you guys have thoughts on what I just outlined, I definitely want to hear them.
In lieu of having a moderator, I would like to have like some guiding questions outlined in advance. And it would be helpful to get to some intended outcomes together as well. Like what is, I think we've said some things, but really codifying a couple. Thank you.
I agree with Taisha that I would like to, kind of like how Daniel has written the intentions and things for the meetings, it would be like good to have like a group mentality going into this, what we want to achieve.
Yeah, I think intention setting would be great.
I think it's definitely important to have the meeting and to have it fairly quickly have a turn around. And I also think this kind of sets the framework for meetings we would have with anyone, with any group that would want to meet with us. So I think whatever we end up agreeing to do with the NAACP, it's important for us to also do and offer to all groups who want to meet with us.
Thank you, Martha. And that's why I was asking that we really be thoughtful about having it be connected to a communications plan where we've had time, we've had input, and we really know what best practices, et cetera. So I understand wanting the sense of urgency around wanting to meet with them. At the same time, I would hate to rush to put together a process that we may not want to replicate moving forward. But I definitely hear you on perhaps this is kind of a pilot of some of the different strategies that we want to consider. But I don't want to lock us into something that we haven't had additional time to put together. The communications committee will be meeting in the next couple of weeks, but we won't have time for the community input, et cetera, prior to our meeting with the NAACP. Thank you.
So I think viewing this as a pilot, which you know, can be changed and shifted is a good model, but I really don't think we can put this meeting off any longer, and that it does need to be held next month. And so that is what the doodle is going to have dates for. And if the NAACP would like to postpone for any reason, I think we can be open to that. But I think we have to give them grace in the fact that they have provided us with time as well in making this decision, so that we said we were going to get back to you and we have to figure out our bylaws, and that's space and time we've been granted. And I think we need to be considerate as well. But knowing that, you know, a pilot is just the first episode and can be shifted and tweaked for what works and what doesn't work. And perhaps it'll be a great way also for the outreach committee to meet after, you know, that meeting and say, hey, this worked really well and this worked poorly, and all of that. It could be really great as a reflection period. So
awesome. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments there?
I would say that was just my only hesitation, is I wouldn't want to wait until your comment about waiting until we have the outreach part. But other than that, I'm good.
Great. Okay. So I will send an email to NAACP leadership. I'll send the panel a draft kind of what the proposal is for what a meeting structure would look like. And you guys can provide any feedback, and we'll get that out within the next week. And I think with that, we're on to the monitor's report.
All right, thank you, Ariel. And I'll try to do this. I should be able to get through this in 10 minutes or so, no more than 15. And I'm going to focus mostly on the outcome of the case reviews that you all have been reviewing over the past month. So the first item are just a reminder about some upcoming panel meetings. We do have a meeting with the chief scheduled for January 25th. That will be virtual. It'll be open to the public. The link will be available on our website. I think the panel or some members of the panel will be meeting over the next week or so to identify some topics or some questions. But that'll be, again, available to the public. The other meeting we're working on scheduling is one with the city manager. Both the panel and the city manager wanted to meet with each other. And before the panel had made a request to bring an issue to the city manager had actually requested to meet with the panel, just as sort of a get to know you. So it has been difficult to schedule that over the past month with the holidays, with some travel snafus and with the fire, but we are still working on that. And the city manager has clearly indicated her desire to meet with all of you. The next item, as you all know, I attended the National NACOL conference last month, December. I presented on the city, or the city's crisis intervention response team. But this was a week full of presentations and panels. And so they make a lot of materials available to us at the panel, digitally. And so I downloaded a bunch of the stuff that I thought you all might be interested in and might be helpful to you, spark some ideas. And I created a folder on our SharePoint site. So you can, if you go to the SharePoint site, you'll see a folder, NACOL conference. Take a look at all the materials in there when you have time. It's a bunch of stuff, but just some more resources. And if you see, I didn't put everything from the conference, but if you look at the conference schedule and there's a topic on there that you really want to know what sort of documents were provided for that, just let me know and I'll make sure to get all those to you as well. But it was a very successful conference. Lots of folks from all over the country exchanging ideas and networking with each other. So learned a lot in the process. Oh yeah, Taisha.
Thank you. This is very helpful. I'm on the site now. Are there any particular presentations that you think align to some of the issues that we've been encountering, or that may be particularly relevant based on where we are in our panel cycle, if you will? Yeah,
there was one presentation in particular that was about reforming and revising existing oversight panels and operations. And it was based on, I think, Berkeley's experience over the past year or two. So I did put that one there. I thought that might be particularly helpful to you all. What else? There's some documents in there about like the state of the field. There's a couple of reports from other cities. But I think that one about how oversight agencies and entities evolve over time would probably be the one that may be the most helpful for you all at this point in the panel's development and evolution.
Awesome, thank you. I also see there's a case study here in Denver.
Yeah, I think that's the report that the Denver Monitor did on the George Floyd protests in 2020 and the department's response to that. So that was it's an excellent report. There was a number of cities did reports like that: New York, Chicago, LA. I do have the reports from all the other cities if you want any of those, but I just put the Denver one in there since they were local to us.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. The next item on my agenda is just to let you all know that, and I've been updating you on this the past couple of months, the MOU that we've been working on that has been provided to the co-chairs. Those signatures should be coming in the next day or so. And then the chief has already signed it. I've signed it. After the co-chairs sign it, then it will go to the city manager for her signature, and then it will be done and official. So we're working our way to the end point on that one. Next is the report on the outcome of case reviews. So there were 2 cases that the panel reviewed over the past month, and we've received the response from the department on both of those. The first one was MI 2021-043. This case involved an allegation that an officer failed to complete a report regarding a threat made at a school, which would be a violation of a Rule 1 violation, specifically General Order 201 on report writing. The panel reviewers recommended the allegation be sustained and that the officer receive a 1-year letter of reprimand. The panel reviewers also recommended that a supervisor provide the officer with a verbal reminder that the crisis intervention response team is available to contact individuals in such situations. The chief of police concurred with the panel, has sustained the allegation, implemented discipline, and also issued a reminder to the officer about the availability of CERT response. The one wrinkle here was that the panel did recommend that this officer had an existing letter of reprimand in his file. The panel recommended that the new letter of reprimand that they were recommending be served or imposed subsequent to, sorry, I'm forgetting the word right now, not consecutive to the existing one, sorry. The response on that was that the current department policies and the union contract doesn't speak to that, doesn't really allow that. And so that's why I was bringing this back to you all to suggest maybe we think about a recommendation for the annual report that at least the department policy, they consider allowing for consecutive implementations of discipline instead of for a letter of reprimand, so that you don't have a situation where essentially a 1-year letter of reprimand is happening, is sort of being swallowed by a 5-year letter of reprimand, and then it's ultimately not that meaningful. But that's something we can continue to talk about if you all want to address that. But the bottom line is, for this case, the chief did concur with the panel and essentially followed the recommendations of the panel to the extent that she could in that context. The second case was MI 2021-047. This case involved an allegation that an officer failed to confirm the service of a protection order and applied for a warrant that was ultimately invalid because the service of the protection order had not happened yet. This would be a violation of Rule 1, specifically General Order 313 on charging. The panel reviewers did sustain. Oh, I'm sorry, I just lost my screen. Let me pull that back up. Where did that screen go? I'm so sorry. My screen went out. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. The panel reviewers recommended that the allegation be sustained and that all officers receive a training reminder about the importance of confirming the service of a protection order before applying for a warrant. The chief concurred with the panel in this one as well, sustained the allegation, and has indicated that the training reminder will be issued to the entire department. This original incident occurred back in 2018, and the subject officer is no longer a member of the BPD and was not a member of the BPD when the complaint was filed in 2021. So thus, no individual discipline could be implemented. The panel didn't recommend individual discipline for this one because the officer was no longer there. And so no discipline could ultimately be carried out, obviously. In terms of our monthly case statistics, and I'll do some annual at the end as well, we had 2 complaints filed in December and 2 community inquiries also filed in December. So far in January, 1 complaint has been filed. There are currently 13 open investigations that are in progress. That's up from 11 last month. I think there's been a little bit of a delay just with holidays and everything. In all of 2021, there were a total of 55 complaints filed, both by members of the public and some internal complaints. 11 separate allegations were sustained in 9 different cases out of that 55. And so that represents about a 16% sustain rate, which is about appropriate, I think. The sustain rates can range from, I've seen as low as 1, 2, 3% sustain rate. The highest sustain rates I've seen are about 25% or so. So being at about 16% for the panel is right there and about what you would sort of expect in terms of the national average currently. In 2021, the panel reviewed 5 completed complaint investigations. The panel recommended sustaining allegations in all 5 of those cases. The chief of police concurred with the panel, sustained allegations, and implemented discipline in 4 of those 5 cases, which represents about an 80% concurrence rate, which is pretty good in terms of national comparisons. So that completes the monitor's report. If you have any questions about any of that, I'm happy to respond. Otherwise, we can move into the panel's selection of cases to review.
I did just kind of want to make a quick comment about the consecutive versus concurrent letters. Just kind of wanted to stress the importance of kind of taking that through and ensuring that that is a change that does happen. In this particular situation, we had somebody who already had a letter, and even though we're following the guidelines, they get, 1 letter. They had a 3-year letter, and so basically it felt like they had 3 years where they could do anything without any real reprimand, because if they had another letter, it would just be put on there and they would still have the same the same amount of time. There would be no real consequences. And so that was really alarming to us. And I think that it would be really important for us to kind of ensure that that is something that they really consider in the future, and hopefully as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Hadassah, and I would recommend that. Do we have like a place where we are kind of keeping recommendations to the city council as it relates to strengthening the panel's ability to meet the goals set in the regulation?
I'm keeping a list of issues, as they come up in the cases when you all bring them up.
Okay, and it would be great if maybe the governance committee or someone that we both thought we also internally have access to that information as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My only comment would be that, the one that was sustained, it was a split decision. I think that might be important to recognize. And then, I believe that one had some recommendations that we might want to bring to the larger group, but I don't know that that's happened yet.
I have those on the list, Martha, yeah. But that's right, there was.
And are you
it was-
referring to the abstain or the no? Or was there another that was a split, like yes, no?
It was just that one where we had 2 votes to sustain and then 1 to abstain.
Thank you. I think we also recognize that there was no abstention option. So that's again something that we want to clarify, but again, there's nothing that says we can't abstain. So we go for that. However, we may want to ask for the actual, regulation to be updated so that we can use all of the latitude as it relates to the decisions that we make. Thank you.
Okay, I think we are moving on to panel selection of cases to review, which Martha is also going to kindly lead for me.
Yes, it's that time where we pick which ones we're doing. Let me open the right screen for myself. So hopefully everybody read beforehand so that we can just yay or nay. I kind of like the hand raise feature a little bit better just for counting. It looks like, if I can get my screen to cooperate. Can someone, well, I guess we can share that.
Yeah.
one, actually.
Yeah, I was about to
Rush that.
co-host to make you share the screen, but yeah, we don't share the screen.
I will just read off the numbers then. And let's see, it looks like we had tabled some in the last meeting, 45 and 46. They look a little bit like they're companions to one another, but they do have different issues. So I will keep on with the separation of them. So 045. If you want to do the hand raise feature, and let us know if you think this should be reviewed or not. I'll start with my own vote. All right. I'm assuming people are reading. I don't know if folks can like.
How do you do the hand raise feature? I'm like not finding it.
There's a bar at the end, at the bottom, and there's
The 3 little dots.
five,
Susie.
six
If you
options.
click more, if it's otherwise it might be just right next to record or share screen, that green share screen.
I have green share screen, I have record, I have Q&A, I have
And there's
chat, and I
no
have
lower hand.
participants. No hands.
You can use your physical hand if you
I will
want.
use my physical
Oh,
hand.
sorry, Martha, I was not clear on that either. So thank you.
All right, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6.
6.
All right, I see 6 for 45. So we will go ahead and get that assigned. 46, like I said, it's kind of that companion to it. I'm gonna keep my hand raised just because, like, if we're looking at one, might as well look at the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm seeing 4, 5. All right. The next one is came in November. Oh, that one. Are we not counting 73?
No, you can go ahead and do 73. This was the one that it initially came in just as a regular use of force investigation. And then when the professional standards unit sergeants review all the use of force reports as they come in. And when they reviewed this one in November, they discovered that the person had actually verbalized a complaint about it. And so they took it out of the normal review process and put it into the complaint process so that we could see it. So that's the little bit of delay there. And that's why the number, the normal misconduct number is not there yet.
Okay. Well, 73. If folks want to go ahead and vote on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. 6 for 73. I'm going to clear my raised hand so that I won't confuse people's votes for the next one. 054, also a use of force. All right. We've got 2. Anyone else? Last call. So it looks like we have 2, so we will not assign that one. And then the last one is 55. Rule 1, general rules. Anybody want that one? Going once, going twice. All right, no dice. And that concludes the votes for the incoming.
Thank you, Martha, for taking care of that. Bam Bam has joined us as well. So next is going to be public comment. Very quickly, I just want to see, is there any other business for panel members or any other agenda items? No? Okay, great. So we will go into public comment. You have 2 minutes each to speak, and if you just raise your hand with the same function, Joey can promote you so you can speak. And thank you for attending our meeting.
Yeah, and if you're calling in from a cell phone or a phone line, you can also dial *6 to raise your hand and *9, I think, to unmute yourself. If you're calling in from a phone line. But if we have any other members of the public that would like to raise their hands.
And Martha has a timer.
I'll just do a timer.
Nuts.
Can you do a 10-second warning or a 30-second warning, Martha? Are you open to that? Or I just feel like people need to know, like, it's coming up or something.
Yeah, it's just YouTube, so I don't, I don't have that sophistication to it.
I can keep track of time. We can do about 20 seconds. We'll do a warning and then
Perfect.
time will be
Thank
cut
you.
off at 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, we have a member of the public on the phone, 720 area code. You can go ahead and speak.
Yeah, this is Darren O'Connor. Hello, everyone. Just FYI, it's *9 to raise your hand, but thanks for the time. I just wanted to share in the last month, one of the NAACP members who was unlawfully arrested per our legal challenge to the city, got a settlement of $95,000. But more importantly for y'all is that the part of the agreement was that we will be getting average use of force by month for about a 2-year period. And I plan to send you those numbers when we were, I've raised the issue before. Data falls under data that you can look at historically, and we will only be getting the average numbers, but that'll be a great baseline. If you can compare those numbers to individual police officers' use of force, this is the first time such data will be available. And again, I've raised this issue before. I don't know if it just fell off your radar or if you're still working on that, but I would encourage you to follow up on that and try to identify officers like Officer Lowe who are using force, sometimes, sometimes more than once a day, sometimes multiple times a week, and more often than not, using force every single week. So that's all I got for you tonight. Thank you.
Any other members of the public like to speak? Okay, going once. Okay, well, I think that then will conclude our meeting for this evening. Thank you all for coming. Expect some emails about a retreat and the NAACP meeting proposal, as well as kind of a more informal gathering coming down the pipeline as well. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.